You're not kidding about these chairs. Hi, everybody. I'm Anita Schillhorn. I'm the Director of Strategy at McKinney based in Los Angeles. We're a company that's based in North Carolina and Durham, but we have a small outpost in LA. And you know, I love it out there. And certainly when I got here and it was raining, I felt a little bit of missing for my sunny shores. But I'm excited to be here with Kate today and talk about insights. We talk a lot about simple human insights. That's kind of the core of the way that we think about building campaigns, talking about our brands, talking about our end customers. And so I wanted to chat with Kate today about where you are, what you're doing in terms of developing insights and really thinking about how that helps unlock inclusive marketing.
Great. Well, thanks for having me here today. Kate Rojas, I lead marketing for Notion. It's a Comcast company. Probably many of you, I'd probably say 99% of you are like, who is Notion? I've never heard of this company. So I will dive into that in a minute. But first off, like I am pregnant. So to the pregnancy vibes out here, only 7 weeks left to go. So really excited to be here today and feeling pretty good. So Notion, who is Notion? I'm going to give you a little bit of background around that because I think that will help set the stage for our discussion today. So Notion is a smart home technology company. We actually started in Boulder area about 5 years ago. We went through the accelerator program through Techstars, and we got acquired by Comcast in 2020. We're quite unique because we are a B2B2C business. So we actually go to market through insurance. I know, very sexy and very exciting right before lunch to talk about. But our product really focuses on risk management. So we have a technology, a sensor that goes in your home that can monitor for water leaks, sounding alarms, temperature changes. So, you know, with winter coming, we know there's going to be a freeze probably. And we want to help homeowners actually get ahead of these risks. So our mission as a company is to become a requirement for insurance. So if you think about a seatbelt in the car and how it protects you, and you think about all the technology, and all the technology in a car that helps you better protect your family and your driving ability, you don't really have much of that in your home today, which typically is your biggest purchase of your entire life, right? And that's where we want to change things and actually make it more accessible to homeowners, whether it's single family, condo, or even renters across the US. So we work with big players such as Nationwide, as well as smaller players such as Hippo Insurance and Lemonade that you may have heard of out there. So the way it works is the insurer actually pays for the kit, pays for our technology, and the homeowner can install it, get a discount on their insurance, and get it for free. So it's a win-win for both. So if you think about it as a homeowner, like, great, I have this awesome technology, I got it for free, and I'm getting a discount on my insurance. And the insurer is thinking, wait a minute, I'm creating a better homeowner. I'm reducing my risk profile, and we're creating a better homeowner experience from day one. So that's kind of the gist of Notion. And you're probably wondering, why did Comcast acquire us? We are not, part of the cable side of the business. We operate pretty independently, but they really see us as a way to expand how they can help owners and touch the home in different ways outside of just general internet and cable today. And we're one path there. So we sit within the strategic development division of Comcast, which is a growth portfolio of different businesses. So insights today, maybe I'll dive a little bit into why data is so important for Notion and kind of what we do today. So our sensors collect data on what's going on in the home, and we help alert homeowners on if there's a water leak and how they can proactively go after that. And because our go-to-market strategy is a little different, we don't really know who our customers are until we get them. So for us, truly understanding who our customers are helps us better develop our marketing campaigns, helps us better develop our product, and really a full spectrum that I can dive into deeper.
And I'm really interested in hearing your background and how you got here as well, because you've spent along your career in insights, right?
Yeah, so I actually started off my career at Nielsen, big data company. I worked for a division called Bases for about 5 years and worked in Cincinnati, New York, San Francisco, had clients such as P&G, J&J, PayPal, Intuit. So that was the foundation for me, which made me really change how I think about marketing and how I think about market research. As marketers, we play such a critical role in bringing a product and a brand to the world. And it's not about convincing people to buy something, right? Those days are long gone. It's really about meeting the consumer where they're at, where their needs are, what are their pain points, and how are we actually fitting those needs. And to me, that is beautiful. And that's kind of where the data today can really drive insights. So Bases itself, the Nielsen company I worked for, was all about product innovation. So should we launch this product? Would we be successful? What changes should we make in this product? And that has carried throughout my entire career. I've worked at different startups, mid-sized companies, have been through 3 different M&As across consumer packaged goods, SaaS, tech, cannabis. I've kind of worked all over the gamut. But yeah, I really think that insights is core to any marketing position.
And today we've talked so much already about empathy, about putting yourself in the shoes of your consumer, about being able to reflect them authentically. And a lot of what you're working on is kind of getting the data and thinking from a more data first perspective. So I'm curious how you combine what you're learning through Notion and the product and all the data that you're getting along with this more empathetic kind of vision of your consumer.
Yeah, I think being empathetic is key. At least for Notion, a lot of folks don't know that they need this technology. So a lot of it's educational, and we need to, how we design our product, making it extremely easy to use and listening to their concerns is critical, not only for our success as our company, but to the individual success and how they can better protect their home. So for Notion, we do that in a variety of ways. Marketing leads a monthly review where we pull together our product team, our customer success team, marketing, and we look at not only product reviews, NPS commentary, to what's going on from an analytics perspective in the app and the product side, but also like tickets. What are people submitting tickets on? Where are they having troubles? And across the business, really looking at what do we need to change? Is that change from marketing perspective? Is it from a product? Is it from an organizational? And being honest with those insights, I think is critical for all of us. As a marketer, I'm sure you could spin data and tell a story in a way you want, but that's not authentic. And you need to really look at what the data is telling you and use that data to better your brand, your product, and your customer experience.
So when it comes to inclusive marketing and really thinking about being able to reach everybody or speak to more diverse audiences, how does that work at Notion?
Yeah, so I noted before that, we don't go directly to the consumer. So through our partners, we get the customers we get through our partnership program. So we want to make sure we're really thoughtful about the diverse landscape of our customer base, and from everything from the unboxing experience to how they continue to renew and reuse our product through our subscription service. So I think it's really hearing them out. You could look at all the demographics and all the profiling and segmentation that you want, but reality is you need to hear from your customers first, and you need to take that feedback and really listen to what that really means and how that could be applied again across your business.
I'm kind of thinking about, when we were initially talking and thinking about that inclusivity component and who owns a home or who has this insurance and invites this technology into their home. thinking about like lower income or different aspects of accessibility. How do you get the information or find the insights that help you evolve the product and evolve the way that you communicate with your consumer?
Yeah, so it's a partnership with our partners. We go to market as a co-branded solution, so we need to make sure that it's a cohesive message. One example is a program actually we're just launching in Florida. I'm sure you've heard there's been more floods in Florida. There's been a lot of issues as it relates to water, but as it comes down to insurance, a lot of people don't know, but many folks are not insured because it's too costly, or the large players actually will not insure them because the risk profile is too hard. And so that's just really hard to hear, right? Like, how can you make insurance accessible to folks that where it's from a price standpoint, it's affordable, but they can really get the protection that they need. So we're partnering with a new insurance provider in Florida called Verd, and they're really rethinking how insurance is done there. So they're combining our technology with end-to-end service that, let's say you get a water leak. Well, guess what? A plumber is going to be automatically dispatched to your home so you can resolve that issue right away, because time is everything. And then that way, these homeowners who are denied elsewhere get coverage, get protection, and they can get it at a lower cost because they have this technology in their home.
That's really cool. It's cool to hear how this technology can really play a role in helping people who otherwise don't have access. And you talk a lot about your B2B partners. How do you partner with them on the insights component?
Yeah, so for insights, it kind of goes two different ways. One is the go-to-market, right? So when we launch these programs with partners, it's understanding what messages resonate with customers and what are the program metrics, right? So how can we better understand their needs, their wants to have the right positioning per market, right? Florida is going to be very different from California or, let's say, Minnesota. So that's why I think working closely with them to understand what are their pain points and how can we create a messaging that will resonate to that market. And then on the flip side, from our end of the product side of things, we communicate back to the partner of like what's really going on in the home, how we can create a better experience together for that homeowner. Because insurers honestly don't want to be insurers anymore. Like, it's a commodity service. It's really tough. It's usually comes down to price, and they want to create a better user experience as well. And so that's why they're looking to tech providers and other solution providers to create that more holistic experience, so they can provide more than just, hey, we'll pay for your claim if it comes out.
You mentioned a little bit around the way that you're learning about your consumer through some of the things that a lot of people talked about today, looking at help, looking at customer service, looking at, the way that people are responding to the product. Could you talk about how you use what you learn and implement that into the product and into the communications?
Yeah. So one thing that we've kind of learned a lot about is some of our customers, this is the first time they have a smart home device in their home. So before Alexa, before all the probably tech gadgets you all have in your home, because again, we're going after a larger market and maybe in areas where they don't necessarily use this technology day in, day out. And we have to be very mindful about the full experience there. So for us, we've done a lot of beta testing, regional testing to figure out how the installation process can go. So I didn't bring a sensor today, but it is like a simple peel and stick process. It's DIY, it takes you less than 15 minutes. Your grandma can do it, I promise. And those are some insights that we've taken to in the past 5 years to really make it that seamless experience, just to create adoption, but also not feel like people won't get the feeling that, hey, I can't do this, right? We don't want that to be a barrier for anyone.
I love that, expanding that idea of inclusivity, right? It's not just about some of the things that we've been talking about today already, but also thinking about age, income, accessibility, tech savviness, all of those all of those elements, are things that it's really important for us to continue to think about, because it's very easy, as a marketer to say like, okay, we can think about like the sexy kind of like millennial or Gen Z audience and the diversity that we see there, but there's a much broader aspect of who we need to create work for that might not fit into the shiny happy demographics that seem like they're that we as marketers kind of gravitate towards.
100%.
We've talked a little bit about some of the examples that that you might see in terms of companies that do inclusivity really well. I'm curious what you have as an example there.
Yeah. So there's one company that actually really has popped up for me in the past couple of years that I think is doing a great job. And I know we've talked a lot about like women's, women in marketing and women across the industry, but women's health is something I'm personally passionate about. And for me personally, I had to go down the IVF route and learned a lot. I'm considered geriatric, the fun term everyone likes to be called. And I always thought, hey, I got time. I can have kids when I'm older. Well, guess what? No, that wasn't the case. And I wish I could have been more proactive. And a lot of the women's healthcare out there today is not. And one of the companies that I really appreciate that's changing things is called Kind Body. They launched in 2018, have over 300 locations across the US. And they're really focused on bringing fertility and family planning education to women and families across the US. So making it more accessible, giving them better options. And then they can just learn about, where they are no matter what their age is. Right. And so that's just one company that really resonated with me. And they also are very unique in how they go to market too, right? They have pop-up shops all over the US. So they're really focusing on underserved areas where they can bring that education to families across the US.
That's really interesting. I think, thinking about some of those core insights that people might not recognize as a core need and building a product around that. And this company called Tia just came out with a campaign, I think a couple of days ago, where they're talking about women's health, and they're talking about how women often don't get recognized when they go to the doctor for their pain or for their struggles, and often get kind of dismissed. So they're taking a kind of a funny approach to that, where a woman goes and asks for a coffee because that's the thing that she needs. And then somebody comes back, the doctor comes back with like a Coke or something. And they say, well, just come back in 2 weeks if that doesn't work for you. Right. So kind of finding those insights that are at the core of a product need, and then also a communications need. And we haven't talked a whole lot about communications. I know that you're doing it with your partner, right? So a lot of it is kind of through the lens of the insurance company. But are you finding how the insights that you're learning that can help develop and evolve the product are also being played out in the communications realm with your partners?
Yes. A lot of our partners actually want to lead with water. So one example is how, no one really goes out to seek to buy a water sensor. Can I get a raise of hands who's done a Google search for buying a water sensor? Probably, I see one, yay. I think if you lead in with that, you're not really resonating with your customer. That's not what they understand. So you really have to work with them to say, hey, like, yes, this is the end product and this is how we're providing a solution, but we have to get the customer there. And that's some of the insights that were driven from a lot of our research and just learning from going to market, that we said, hey, partner, we know you love water, but guess what? The homeowner doesn't understand that issue yet. So let's figure out how to get there and how to resonate with them.
Do you have an example of a way that a partner's really been able to do that?
Well, and the Fastest path actually is money talk. So like the discount structure and getting it for free, that can drive a lot of adoption. And so once a consumer, what we found is once they install it in their home, they're like, wow, this is a great product. Like, I really see why I need it now. But they needed that carrot initially. And maybe that's okay that they have that carrot. It's okay. Because as a marketer, sometimes the reason people buy your product or like your brand initially will change. And we just need to be mindful of that.
In terms of product innovation, could you talk a little bit about that as well and how you're evolving the product with your learnings?
Yeah, so we never launch a product that's perfect. I don't know anyone who does, but we're really big about launching MVP products and evolving over time. So from a marketing, from a research standpoint, we never stop, and we always want to continue to learn and grow with it, because maybe all the research we did up front made sense when we initially launched, but markets change, consumer habits change, needs change. So we always want to make sure that we're adaptive in that front. So from a research standpoint, I know I talked about the monthly check-ins, but we do qualitative sessions with our customers constantly just to understand, okay, you've been a customer for a year, now 2 years, now 3 years. How can we better improve the product, the experience over time? Because our goal is to keep these customers on for many years.
Yeah, that's right. You're really building that long-term relationship, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think a brand has to do that today, because, keeping a customer around for a year or two is just, it's not viable anymore. You're not going to see success as a brand.
And how are you seeing, I mean, I know that Notion has been pretty new, but are you seeing a lot of evolution already in the way that customers use your product or think about insurance?
Yeah, I mean, 82% of our customers did not monitor water before they had Notion. So like, we're changing behavior. I think today with climate change, I think consumers are getting more savvy too and understanding there are issues there. So I think it's a combined effort of folks getting smarter about what's going on in their home, but also us trying to educate them to, fill that gap.
And given, we're talking here about inclusive marketing, I know that we've talked a lot about where people are coming from and what really informs their desire to market and to communicate in ways that are helpful to people. And I'd love to hear a little bit more from you. What drew you to Notion and to other companies that you've worked with throughout your career?
Yeah, I think for Notion, it was partly the mission of what we're trying to do and the complexity of our go-to-market. To me, it's like we're trying to solve a huge problem, and we're trying to work with our partners and the consumers at the end of the day. And that's tough. That's really tough. But it's a fun problem to solve. And that's kind of what's driven me to Notion and previous companies as well, that it's a challenge and we can make an impact here.
Do you see any other big challenges in the future that you want to take on?
I'm sure there's a laundry list, but for right now, my hands are pretty full.
Yeah, you do have like your next phase of your life is right around the corner. So what advice do you have for marketers who want to go above and beyond in finding inclusive insights?
I think first and foremost, I know I mentioned this before, but we need to be honest with ourselves, right? Honest with the situation of our organization, our products, our customers. Where are we today with inclusivity, right? I think we all would love to be, but reality is we're not there yet. We keep saying that today, we're not there. And I think, yes, understanding you're not there is one step, but you need to put together a plan of how you can get there and address the issues that you're actually seeing, and be proactive about addressing them.
And where do you see, if you were to look forward 5 years from now, what do you see in terms of marketing, or what's like the ideal trajectory that marketing can take to be more inclusive?
not to copy other people's words from today, but it will be the normalized, right? It's not going to be a nice to have anymore. It'll be a need to have. It just will be the default. And I think any brand or product or service that does not embrace inclusivity, won't make it and will be left behind.
I know we've got a few minutes before lunch, so I don't want to stand between everybody and lunch, but I do want to give folks a chance to ask Kate any questions.
Hello, my name's Braylee. I work at Delaware North in their Parks and Resorts division. My question for you, I'm really interested as we talk about data and how it really informs how we move forward in marketing. How has privacy and the shift in the consumer behavior with privacy affected things at Notion?
Great question. To be honest, I thought it would be a bigger issue than what it has been. Yes, there's more questions about privacy and privacy concerns, but we as a brand have always been transparent that, hey, we're going to share some data, not a ton of data. Is your system on or off back to the insurer? But guess what? You're going to get rewarded for it because you'll get a discount, you'll get it for free. And I think starting with that transparency is key. We tend to still see over 90% adoption of our product. And even with kind of the shift in the past year or two around privacy, it is getting tougher and tougher, but it isn't changing right now because I think a lot of consumers, at least for our product, are seeing the value from it and are understanding that, hey, if you give a little, you can get a little as well. And I think as long as we show it as a partnership with consumers and the insurance partner, we can kind of get past those hurdles.
Thank you.
Oh boy. No judgment if you do.
I think we've done enough today. I don't need to stand up too, right? So when I was thinking the whole time about disabilities, do you guys deal with that a lot? How do you address it? I'm thinking more someone who maybe is deaf or blind or has impairments in that way. I guess you could call it. I hope I'm saying it the right way. Or maybe someone who can't install it themselves. Do you guys help with installation, things like that? How have you guys dealt with those occurrences with your products?
Yeah, so we've done some adjustments to our app experience to make it more accessible for, as simple as someone who's colorblind, to making it more accessible to have audible cues for things once it's installed, but we're still not quite there yet. We still have a ways to go. If you do have someone who has, difficulty reaching certain areas of their home, they're in a wheelchair, they most likely will need to have assistance installing. And that's something we're continuing to work through. We have explored looking at professional install options, but we're still trying to make it as easy as possible for consumers today. And because you can hopefully bring in a neighbor or, another family member to help you, that's kind of where we're trying to create this neighborly appeal to our product. But accessibility is still something that we're always trying to address and improve in our product.
Miguel, come on. I'm just kidding.
Hello. With insights, how we've talked a lot about D&I, gender, race, education background. What's fascinating about your craft, your skill set is it's exploring learning disabilities, ADHD, how people learn, how people think differently. What's your take on going deeper into D&I and the diversity of how people think? They just naturally think and learn differently.
No, that's a great thing to bring up. And something that we continue to, I wouldn't say struggle with, but we're continuing trying to improve because everyone learns differently or, interprets things differently. We have to, as marketers, make sure we're mindful of that. So I know before I talked about regional differences and how we might communicate there, but it's also comes down to how we might provide, guidance on our installation process. So just to give you an example, we try to be extremely simple. So instead of, saying, oh, our sensor has this technology and this technology, it's more around, hey, these are the benefits for you. And we do cater that slightly depending on the region that you're in, and try to accommodate for folks who, may want the more technical side that's available, but we also want to keep it simple for everyone.
Just to weigh in on that, do you cater to different languages as well?
We do support Spanish today, both through our customer success team and through our marketing materials. Our app does not support Spanish yet, but to be honest, it's very little language in the app. It's more of a dashboard of what's going on in your home.